Okay, so here's the chain wheel from the left side of the bike. So it goes into the swinging arm on that side, and then this side, these are the vanes that go into the hub of the rear wheel, and that is the shock absorber. So this hub, these are all rubbers, and so that's like an engine shock absorber. So you'll find, I think just about every bike has some kind of shock absorber in the transmission system, and then on a Norton it's in the hub. On the Trident, it's on the just as it's in the primary chain case on the rear sprocket. On some bikes you have it on the engine sprocket, but there's always some kind of rubber mounted shock absorber system. Okay, so this goes on the left side of the bike. Obviously the chain goes on it, and then those vanes go into the hub on the wheel. Just by the by, because of the way the Mark III is, so you don't have to remove the chain to take the wheel out. I mean, I've taken the chain off anyway, A, because I needed to, and B, because I kind of forgot that you didn't need to take the chain off. Because if you're just taking the wheel out, this sprocket can stay in situ, just leave it done up, and then the other part of the wheel comes off if you can actually manage to get it out of the frame. That's the actual sort of stub. That's like the stub spindle, and then the main spindle screws into it from the other side. So it's a two-part spindle on a 850 Mark III. Okay, and then we got the speedo drive. I'll probably put a bit more grease in that, and then I always lay things out in the order that they come out in, so that I put them back together. I'm just going to degrease this a bit. Just get rid of the crud. What have I got there? Yeah, just going to get rid of the crud, one of the spacers. I'm just remembering where that's going to go. Using WD-40. Okay, if you've got all grease and horrible oil and that horrible thick grease and that you often get at the bottom of a bike, you know, it all congeals and all that here, which is already on this bike is the same, even though it's only done 900 miles. All around the stand and that, it's already greasy and pretty horrible. Then WD-40. I know it sounds mad, but you spray that on, it just liquefies everything, and then you just wipe it off. It's great. So if you've got all grease and that thick, horrible oil, you know, just WD-40, wipe it down, gets rid of it. So that's what I'm doing with this. I'm just going to clean it up, and I'm just checking everything's okay, which I'm sure it is. Maybe put a bit of grease in the speedo drive, and then put it back together, put it in storage until we're ready to put it back on the bike. Yeah, so I just wanted to show you this. This is all sort of, I don't know how well this is coming up, but it's all, you know, kind of that greasy stuff you always get. Okay, so I'm just going to spray some WD-40 on it. There you go. Bit of tissue. I'm trying to do this one hand and look with the other. And then it just wipes off. Great. It turns that horrible greasy stuff, you know, liquid, and it's the best thing ever. You want to clear up, you know, this horrible, you know, what it's like, this horrible sort of greasy, dirty mess. And, you know, WD-40, and it's gone. Okay, that's one of the best things that I can recommend. Someone taught it me years ago. I never thought of doing it. Great. And so I'm just gonna clean up back here. It's just easier to work on. You know, I'm probably going to take the Z plate off now. So, you know, just a question of, it just makes, you know, instead of groveling around in all dirty stuff, it's just easier. Okay, we've got the grease gun on the nipple of the speedo drive. I'm just going to give it a few pumps if my grease gun is working. Just going to see, get some grease, want some grease sort of popping through really into the drive. I've lost pressure on my grease gun. It was just beginning to come, but it might be out of grease. No sign of grease coming through yet, so I'll reprime the grease gun. Is there a bit coming through? No. Not really. I'll reprime the grease gun and we'll try again. Now I've reprimed the grease gun, and I don't know if you can see, but I'm just starting. I'm going to push it now. You might just start seeing grease coming out of that about halfway up there. You can just see the grease coming out just there. Get my finger in the right place. You see that line of grease there? Yeah, so it's now full. It did take a few pumps, but anyway, always worth checking. You know, never take anything for granted. So you don't think, oh, there's no point checking the speedo drive because it's brand new, so it'll be fine. Whether it's new, old, or whatever, you know, if you've got it off, always check it. But you know, don't think, it'll be okay, it'll be fine, it's brand new, it'll be okay. No, never assume that. Always check, because parts can be faulty. Repro parts, as we know, aren't, you know, necessarily that great. Mistakes can be made, and etc., etc. So never ever take anything for granted. Okay, so done that. I've cleaned it up a bit on WD-40. I've cleaned everything up. So now we're going to reassemble that loosely and put it back in storage. But reassemble it now, so we know the order that things go back in, because we'll never remember. And diagrams and that in the parts catalogue are really useful, but they're not always accurate, especially for this rear wheel, as we know. Okay, I'll start reassembling things. Right, so we're going to just put this sort of axle assembly or sub assembly back together, hopefully in the right order. So we've got the small spindle, and we've got a small grease seal. The grease seal, just checking you can see things here, the grease seal is to stop grease coming through from the wheel bearing on this side. So grease seal goes on. Oil seals and grease seals in this case, they always go with the open side towards the oil or the grease. Okay, that's the rule, you can always remember it. So we want to stop oil or grease in this case coming through, so the open side goes, you know, towards the grease, and so that slots in there, hopefully. There we go. Okay, so that's like the stub axle, stub spindle in. Then we've got a small spacer on this side, sits on the bearing there, and then we've got the speedo drive, which we've now greased up fully, and there are two sort of spigots that stick out in the two little arms that stick out. I don't know how well you can see that. Hopefully you can see them okay. And there are two notches in the sort of chain wheel. So obviously these two spigots line up with those two notches. So I'll try and get them in the right place, basically. Yeah. Which, as I know, is quite a tight fit on the spindle. So there it goes. There it goes. All right. So that's fully down now, and so that will turn with the spindle. Okay. So when have I put it on the right way? Yes. Okay. So when the bike's actually running, then obviously that will stay still. The spindle will stay still, and it goes that way, doesn't it? And then the chain wheel will turn, or if we hold the chain wheel still, and obviously the spindle will turn, but that doesn't happen. And then these flats are what go in the swinging arm, obviously to stop the spindle from turning. What we've got next, then we've got a washer which goes the other side of the swinging arm, the chain adjuster, and large washer and nut. And there we have it. Okay, and then I'll just put that away for now, and and that'll come back out when we need to when we go to reassemble.